Night shifts were supposed to be easy. Sit in a chair, watch some monitors, walk a few halls, and stay awake until dawn. That's what I told myself when I took the job at the Riverside Galleria 6 months ago. The mall closed at 10. By 10:30, it turned into a dead, echoing shell, rows of dark storefronts, the hum of air conditioning, the faint smell of detergent and stale popcorn from the food court. I liked it that way. After years in noisy warehouses, silence felt like luxury. But lately, the quiet had started to feel wrong, like the building was holding its breath. We've got 58 cameras covering the mall. I can name every single one by number. Food court, escalators, west lot, delivery bay, restrooms, staff corridors. And then there are the blind spots, those pockets where the cameras don't reach. Every mall has them. Corners the budget didn't cover. Ours are small but specific. Behind the dumpsters on the west dock, the far corner near maintenance, and the L-shaped corridor between the jewelry store and the employee exit. I've always hated that corridor. Every time I walk it, there's this faint smell, like perfume. Sweet, chemical, and fresh. It never fades, even when no one's been through there for hours. It was a Thursday night around 1:13 a.m. when the radio started acting up. A click, then static, soft at first, then loud enough to drown out my thoughts. I tapped the side of it. "Control to maintenance, you there?" Old habit. No one was on the other end. The static stopped. Then I swear I heard breathing. I turned the dial down and leaned closer to the monitors. Camera 17, the one over the smoothie kiosk, flickered. Someone was standing there. Black hoodie, jeans, motionless, facing away from the camera. I grabbed the mic. "Mall security, you need to leave right now." No movement. Then the figure stepped left, straight into the blind spot, and vanished. I switched angles, fast. Checked the connecting corridor. Nothing, not a trace. I grabbed my flashlight, radio, and badge. I knew it was probably just some kid who'd broken in, but I couldn't shake that knot in my chest. The motion lights triggered as I walked, one by one, lighting up my path while everything behind me sank back into shadow. By the time I reached the food court, the air felt heavier, stiller. I scanned the area. Chairs stacked, floors shining, one neon sign still humming above the taco stand. Then I heard it. A footstep. "Mall security," I called out. "Identify yourself." Silence. I rounded the kiosk and froze. There was a footprint on the tile. Wet, bare. It led straight into the blind spot. Back in the control room, I rewound the footage, frame by frame. The man was definitely there, standing by the kiosk. But when I zoomed in, something else caught my eye. A reflection in the glass case behind him. A figure standing behind him. I leaned closer. The reflection showed a uniform. My uniform. My chest went tight. I paused the frame and squinted at the badge number on the shirt. It was mine. I don't remember breathing for a few seconds. I just sat there, staring at that frozen image of me standing behind someone who shouldn't have been there at all. Around 3 a.m., I was too wired to sit still. I checked the incident logs to see if anyone else had reported weird activity before. I found a report dated 3 weeks ago. My name was on it. It described a transient individual found unconscious in blind corridor, escorted off premises. I flipped the page. No police involvement. Case closed. But I never wrote that. I even checked the signature. It looked like mine, but off. The R in Reynolds had a loop I never make. I stared at it for a long time. The longer I looked, the less sure I felt about anything. I pulled up the old footage from that date. Most of it was corrupted, static chewing through the files. But one clip played. Camera 42, the L-shaped corridor. It showed me entering frame, flashlight in hand. I was dragging something heavy behind me, couldn't make out what. Then static. When the image came back, I was gone. Only a single shoe lay half in frame, right on the edge of the blind spot. I don't remember any of that. I don't remember anything like that. That's when I heard footsteps outside the door. Soft, unhurried. I froze. I switched to the hallway camera. The feed flickered, and there he was, same black hoodie. Standing right outside the control room door, head tilted slightly forward. He wasn't moving. My heart started hammering. The entry alarm hadn't gone off. The door sensor hadn't tripped. I watched the figure lean closer until his head was almost touching the glass. Then, 3 slow knocks. I didn't answer. He knocked again, harder this time. Then silence. I stared at the screen, gripping the panic button under the desk. But before I pressed it, I noticed something that made my blood run cold. In the reflection on the glass, he wasn't facing away. He was facing me, and he was smiling. The screen went black. When the morning guard came in, Peterson, he found my coffee still warm and the monitors still running. He probably thought I'd gone to make rounds, but the system had saved my last log entry. Blind spot patrol in progress. Later, Peterson told me he found a folder on the desktop labeled "Do Not Open." Of course, he opened it. There were 12 video files, all from different nights. He said the first one showed me walking down that same L-shaped corridor, flashlight in hand. I rounded the corner, disappeared into the blind spot. 5 seconds later, another man stepped out. Same build, same face. He said it looked exactly like me, but younger. Cleaner uniform, smiling at the camera like he'd just finished a job well done. Peterson told me all this later, or maybe I just remember it wrong, because when I try to picture him saying it, I can't remember his voice. All I can remember is the smell of perfume, and the way that corridor looked, lit by the flicker of my own flashlight, the last time I walked through it. Riverside Galleria sealed the L-shaped corridor in 2021 after multiple equipment malfunctions and a reported employee disappearance. The blind spot remains unmonitored. They called it Checkpoint Echo, a weathered modular booth on the edge of nowhere, halfway between a military testing range and the long, empty desert highway that never seemed to end. When I arrived for my first shift, the desert was already bleeding into night. I was told the job was simple. Monitor the gate, log every vehicle, check ID, and radio in any irregularities. 8 hours of silence, 1 gravel road, no backup until dawn. The guy I was replacing, a man named Weller, barely looked at me as he signed off. His face was pale, eyes bloodshot. "Don't overthink it," he muttered. "The radio's sensitive. Sometimes it picks up echoes." He left before I could ask what that meant. The booth door creaked shut behind me. The hum of the fluorescent light was the only sound. And for a while, the night was quiet. By midnight, the routine had sunk in. Every hour, I logged a perimeter check. Road clear, gate secured, perimeter lights on. The temperature dropped hard after sundown, the kind of cold that creeps into your bones even inside a booth. I kept the radio volume low, standard issue, military channel 9, and filled out my reports on the clipboard. Once in a while, a convoy would pass through. They always came unannounced, headlights dimmed, engines humming low. The drivers never spoke much, just handed over documents through a cracked window, eyes hidden behind mirrored lenses. I stamped them, waved them through, and the desert swallowed them whole. Then somewhere around 1:07 a.m., the radio crackled. "Checkpoint Echo, report." The voice was male, clipped, official. I keyed the mic. "Echo here, all clear." Static. Then the same voice repeated, softer now. "Echo here, all clear." It was my own voice. I froze, staring at the receiver. I tried to shake it off, radio interference, maybe playback from the last transmission, but it stuck in my head, the rhythm, the cadence. I leaned over to check the equipment. The radio was warm to the touch. Everything looked normal. At 1:22, it happened again. "Checkpoint Echo, do you copy?" The voice was mine again. Same tone, same breathing, but slightly distorted, as if recorded through a thin wall. I didn't answer this time. The transmission ended with a faint click, followed by what sounded like a single footstep on gravel, right outside the booth. I turned off the radio, grabbed my flashlight, and stepped out into the cold. The night was empty. The floodlight over the gate hummed quietly, its beam catching the floating dust. Beyond that, only desert and the long stretch of road vanishing into darkness. Nothing. When I came back inside, the booth door wouldn't close all the way. The latch was cleanly sheared, like someone had forced it open before. By 2 a.m., I couldn't focus on the forms anymore. 2315, vehicle ID, 201 cleared. 12:48 a.m., perimeter all clear. But near the end of one binder, I found a loose sheet. The handwriting was rushed, shaky. 1 a.m., heard movement beyond gate. Voices repeating call signs. Could not locate source. 1:23 a.m., radio transmitting on its own. Respondent uses my voice. 1:47 a.m., do not engage. If you hear your own voice, do not respond. There was no signature. I flipped the page. The next sheet was clean except for a single line, faintly indented in the paper like someone had pressed too hard with a pen. He came to relieve me early. At 2:36 a.m., headlights appeared down the road. A single vehicle, military grade, matte black, no license plates. I stepped out, squinting against the beam. The truck rolled to a slow stop just before the gate. A man got out. He wore the same uniform as me, same patch, same badge, same insignia. His face was hard to see in the floodlight glare, but his posture was calm. "Echo station?" he asked. "Yeah," I said, gripping the clipboard. "You're early. I wasn't told about a rotation." He gave a small nod, looking past me toward the booth. "Command changed the schedule. They should have radioed ahead." They didn't. We stood in silence for a few seconds. The desert wind hissed softly between us. Then he smiled, barely noticeable. "Mind if I step inside?" Inside the booth, the air felt different, still. He walked straight to the radio and turned the dial slightly, as if testing it. "Channel 9's dirty out here," he said. "Gets crossbleed from Echo Delta." "Echo Delta's been decommissioned," I replied before thinking. He looked at me then, eyes sharp, calculating. "How long you been out here?" "First night." He nodded. "Thought so." The radio crackled. Both of us froze. "Checkpoint Echo, report." It was my voice again. This time the man smiled wider. "You heard it too." I didn't answer. He leaned closer to the mic. "Echo here. Copy." The voice on the radio repeated instantly. "Echo here. Copy." Identical. Something in my gut twisted. "Stop that," I said. "It's interference." He shrugged. "Maybe." Then he turned off the radio. "You should finish your shift outside." I hesitated. "What do you mean?" He gestured to the window. "Standard turnover. 1 man in, 1 man out. Go on. Take a breather." I stepped out, my pulse racing. The desert air bit into my lungs. I turned back to the booth. He was sitting in my chair now, staring at the monitors. The floodlight flickered once, then steadied. I walked a short perimeter. 100 yards out, gravel crunching under my boots. When I turned around again, the booth light had gone off completely. The floodlight stayed on. I started back fast, calling out, "Hey, you still in there?" No response. When I got to the booth, the door was locked. Through the window, I saw the man sitting there. My posture, my uniform, my headset. Calmly writing in the logbook. The fluorescent light flickered once more, and in that instant, his face was clear. It was mine. The next shift arrived at 6 a.m. They found the booth empty, coffee still warm, clipboard on the desk. The logbook's last entry read, 2:47 a.m., shift change complete, all clear. They sealed Checkpoint Echo a week later. Official cause: communication interference and personnel redundancy error. But sometimes, late at night, the radio at the new outpost still picks up a transmission. Faint, distant, distorted. "Checkpoint Echo, report." "Echo here. All clear. The voice is calm, familiar, too familiar. According to official records, Checkpoint Echo was decommissioned after multiple radio feedback incidents in 2019. The last logged operator of the site remains unaccounted for.